Yes, was sharing what I am sharing now that I'm in a summer camp for gathering people from possibility management, meaning people that have been involved in a possibility team for 1 year from now, meeting every 2 weeks, and people interested in the philosophy and method of dragon dreaming. And that's the gathering. That was the that is the gathering proposed.
So this is a possibility team who's been meeting in person every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, for a year. Wow, well done. That's rather momentous.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad to celebrate that with you. And I'm sad also because I have a kind of like the words doesn't land when I try to write something about what I do. It's kind of evaporate, or it's like more busy to live it rather than write it.
Yeah. I reminded that I read a post from Anna a few days ago, and she's been talking about writing a book, but she's never done it. And her method is to invite her to interviews and to do a one-take interview. And she did one recently with Kian. I highly recommend it. It touched me deeply to hear her dragon speaking about men's culture and what she's been holding space for. But and I'm saying that because that might also be a way for you to speak about and capture what's happening so you can share it in other ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That comes right on the spot because I'm training myself to work on a podcast. That is a perfect match.
Great. There you go. So you can put yourself into other people's podcasts and talk and
Yeah.
speak about, and learn how that goes. Yes. Yep. I'll make a task now to send you the link to Anna's podcast with Kian.
Yeah. Okay. Make a task also to listen to the walk talk of James Samuel, because during this summer camp there are opportunities to let speak Gaïa in the land with people that don't have the distinction of possibility management. So it's kind of a challenge to find the precise distinction, the minimal precise distinction that are needed to sense and to receive intuition from the earth.
I want to learn more about this I want to hear more about this and your experience with it, because this is very relevant to the Growing Radicals work. We had our fifth gathering yesterday, fifth in 5 weeks. And and there's something is building there. There's an energy building there, and it's with people who don't mostly people who have no PM distinctions. So it's a bridge space.
Yeah. And I want to celebrate with you that today I held space for a 16-member possibility team for people that were not coming from PM, and 5 people, including me, that were distilling distinction during the possibility team here. So it was 11 more people coming in the space with almost no distinction. I mean, they've been with days before with us, and I was landing distinction all the days. And still, that moment was a big momentum for me today. Yeah.
I'm appreciating that you keep returning to this notion of landing distinctions, and that makes me curious. Which distinctions are you landing?
Yes. So I've been reading your article and trying awkwardly to make another one for Inner Permaculture, but let's skip that. I'm gonna refine this and find what is perfect for that next article. The thing is, I just cling to what you said to growing radicals and got inspired by your article. It just like started with landing the resistance making decision. And that's one of the first one I landed. And I explained landed why it is so important. One of them is it is important to let the resistance speak and be visible in the space for each individual within a group. But the group kind of went off addicted to it. So it worked more than expected. And it has a reverse effect. Like people get bored themselves by using any time the resistance making the process. So that's the first feedback, like how to land that distinction with like how to use it. Like it's more like, yeah, it's a really great tool and don't overuse it. There is just moment when people can just do this and celebrate or say we all agree, but it's not necessary all the time, you know? So that's, yeah, the first thing that came.
Yes, I hear you. And yes, it could be because it is it's a very specific tool, and it's so much more than this, you know, showing the level of resistance, because then the next piece of it is inviting people to bring the wisdom from their feelings, of their feelings, and yes, and I don't know. Again, this is a topic which is in the space at the moment. There's a woman has been speaking about her experience of doing this with her community in I think in New York, and she's going to Poland, and she wants to really explore this topic. I don't know if you've caught up with that thread, but no, there's some wisdom coming through there around the use of purple cards. Do you know about this aspect?
Yeah, we didn't get to that point. I only get to the distinction between feelings and emotion today during the possibility team. There were a lot more to prepare the ground for that before.
Yes.
And that would be a next step. For example, a next bridge house. I intend to, so there is a plan actually with my partner to create a bridge house here. And that would be the perfect place to set that up. But for now, that is not the step.
I find this fascinating because it's like the decision making is such a key piece of collaboration, and it's one which has the potential, if it's not done well, to be a source of conflict and a source of fear for people, that causes them to hold back from collaboration, from yeah, doing things together, such as sharing land in the case of the Growing Radicals focus, and and yet it's also so it's a door into, yeah, okay, here's a decision-making process, and it's then a door into all of these beautiful just PM distinctions, the distinction between feeling and emotion, and the clarity of communication, and for
Yeah,
example, in the purple
that,
card, like having whoever is holding the space, having enough anger on tap to be able to clearly bring an end if somebody is simply resisting out of reactivity rather than bringing wisdom from their feelings. Well, all these things.
I have a lot to share about that. Like the first thing is, what is the cultural box in which you land the distinction? Because every culture is different. The French culture is very, very reluctant and resistant to go into the emotional field. This is really a dark spot in the culture. There's a lot of belief about people being gurus or trying to manipulate you, or a lot of resistance. And for me, it was a challenge even to land that distinction in the space, in the possibility team. What was coming first for me was the resistance making first, and like exactly in the same moment was coming the clarity of the proposal, making proposals, clear proposals, so that it's well received by the people and not scattered somewhere. And but I guess I landed way more distinctions in that space, because there is one about getting people on your team. The process when you call someone and people raise their hands was very fast. This one was very easily adopted.
I can you explain that some more? I missed that. The hand raising, Pete.
It's like when you look for someone in your team, instead of, like, I had many people making an unclear proposal at the beginning. And so like people were saying nothing in the group. And then the space is shifted to something else. And I said, no, the space is shifting to something else. And you made a proposal and nobody responded. And so that's where I landed the distinction about, I'm going to close the door. There's a lot. Okay. Anyway, there is something happening. Yeah. Yeah. And then I got really angry at the beginning. I had moment of going into the swamp because of being angry. Like and then comes up the possibility of turning into a conscious asshole. And because in the morning we had morning circles, so the morning circles are really important. And in the dragon dreaming culture, this is kind of embedded because it's Aboriginal, it's coming from Aboriginal culture. So in the morning circle, I say, today my intention is to be a conscious asshole. I put my yeah, anyway, I put my clothes of conscious asshole. And then I went out of my swamp by saying that. And then I said to people, bullshit, bullshit. bullshit because, and then kind of turn it the space in another easier flow. Yeah. And I sense a lot I got into the swamp because in the beginning I was really using my anger and landing distinction, and people were like, who's this guy? Why is he telling us that thing? Or like where I had also the reflection, and I got hooked by that, like to have such power that I could have power over people because I'm so powerful. And that's something that hooked me. And I got into the swamp because of that.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen, could happen. Yep, and you found a way out.
Yeah, I found out after a moment that I was hooked, and I said, "Okay, it's the French box. French cultural box is about killing authority figures, but it's also about killing authority at all." So, I know this pretty much as I've run many courses here. So I know that. So I kind of, yeah, I bump into the wall of the cultural box.
So if I was to say to you that one of the ways out of, and the easiest way out of a swamp is to say what you feel and ask for what you want. What would be in that context, what did you feel and what did you want?
I'm gonna pin that somewhere. Say what you feel, say
and
what you want.
and you reference Janet Redmond as the source of that one.
Yeah, I love that. It's very
It
clear,
is.
simple. Yeah. I'm really glad I had 1 year of experiment with the possibility team, because in the possibility team, there is a coach that is particularly involved into this. And she has done dojo, EHP dojos. So she learned to hold space for spaces. And I asked her 2 times for a listening space. And also that's how I got out of my swamp, because she listened to me first and then asked me, then what do you want? So, that's exactly what happened.
Right.
Yeah. And also, and I'm really glad about that, because I read one of the articles, I don't know which one it was, but the one was going into the cold water to actually feel more the sensation of the body. And that's what I did. We have a pond over there and it's very cold, and I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed going there. Yeah. After having a listening space. It was, yeah.
Cool. There's an exercise you can do in cold water that's very valuable, which is to do some frontal lobe mental gymnastics. So like set a task, for example, what's the square root of 37, and try to figure it out, right, while you're in the cold water, because the cold water is part of what it's doing is it's causing you to react like get out of here, and so it tends to put us into the reptilian brain. And if we can practice while there's an inclination to go to the reptilian brain, to come to the frontal lobe, to logic, and right, then when you're in a stressful situation, you don't automatically go back here to the reptilian brain, the reaction, and potentially the swamp. Right? It's a conscious, it's a way of practicing staying conscious while under stress. through it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The second thing that I do that is pretty much working with me is fasting. When I fast, my system is more clear, and I'm still researching which ingredient that I eat is causing this kind of nervousness that I have sometimes, and that causes also to go in the swamp sometimes. That's something I'm researching.
Good.
What is the task specifically that you do when you train with the reptilian brain?
Yeah, I do math. I do
Okay.
like, literally like try to figure out what's the square root of 37, like for
I
example.
would never have thought about that. Okay.
But
Doing
anything that
math.
could something that tests you, that you have to think it through, like think something through logically. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be explaining our current permaculture to a newbie.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
One of the things that we did last night, if I can shift the space and share a little
Yeah.
from, yeah, so we had 21 people, including Janet and myself. So yeah, 19 people came for this introduction into land share communication skills. And one of the things that worked well and could have worked better, and which we'll do next time, is to have people hold a listening space for each other, taking a turns holding a listening space and listening from the heart, right? The ears fully turned on and listening without needing to respond. And the step that we'll do next time is to offer people the beginning of a sentence. When I think about collaborating around a land share project, I feel fear about, and then let them continue, like complete the sentence and start talking.
Mm.
We'll work out a number of those short sentences, that open sentences that they can complete, just as a way of getting people straight into it, making the instructions super clear so they're not wondering what to say. They just start speaking and then the rest flows. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, it was a 2-hour event from 6 to 8 p.m. and there's the usual and fear in the room of like speaking, because a lot of people didn't know each other, and by the end we brought it to an end promptly at 8 o'clock, and then we had to turn the lights out at about 20 past 8 because people didn't want to leave. They were just the buzz, and so what I'm celebrating is the connections that were made in that short space of time, because there was enough opportunity for people to express their feelings, for them to connect with one another. Yeah. For them to feel a little vulnerable, and for them to see other people expressing feelings and therefore connecting with them. Yeah. And I think we have about 10, maybe 12 people coming to an all-day training on Saturday from 9 till 5. So that's where we're holding like a mini building communication bridges, which is Janet's flagship training that she's been doing for many years.
Yeah.
She does a 2-day training, and this year, by the end of this year, she will have done 15 of those.
Wow.
So this is a 1-day focus specifically on land share communications. So clarity of intention. Do we have a shared intention? You know, if coming together, what is our intention with, and calling them to, firstly, if it's a land owner, to put the ownership piece in a box, in a chest, and set it aside for 2 years. Right? Just forget about the fact that you own this land for now. You're in a collaboration now where your focus is Gaia, is the land. What together will you do? So what's the so getting clarity about whether there is a shared intention, and then developing the skills for clarity of agreements. Getting really clear on the importance of the agreements. What are the agreements that we need in order to set aside or be able to let go of fears of unspoken assumptions?
Yeah.
Under assumptions. So getting enough of that, and then knowing that the agreement can be changed by agreement. And then the next piece is the communication processes, and that's where the PM distinctions will come in. So helping people to give completion loops, helping them understand the drama triangle, having them having them understand how they get in a swamp and how they get hooked and how they get out and all of these things. Learning about bright principles and shadow principles. Yeah. So, for example, like ownership as a shadow principle versus in New Zealand, we often use the Maori word kaitiaki, which means guardian. So ownership versus guardian. Yeah. So making those. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. This is what are we, Thursday? 2 days time we'll be doing this training.
I'm curious about the previous distinctions, the one that are not coming from PM and that help going through the state where you start with completion loops. This is like, yeah, I'm just curious about those steps.
Well, completion loops is part of that listening deeply to understand.
Yeah.
Like and if there's a commitment to listen deeply, if there's a commitment to understand, there's a desire to understand the other, that feels, and that's part of the position versus principle, rather. So if people are speaking about something which is important to them, are they basing it on a principle, or are they taking a position, which is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Positionality versus right principle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it all weaves into, it's part of that. Yeah, completion loops is part of how we get to understand each other and also feel heard. You know, it's like it's such a powerful. It's so powerful to when you feel heard. It softens something. It's, oh, okay, now I can stop speaking and feel. so often people speak and speak and speak and speak and speak, and they don't have the sense that they can stop and or slow down and feel. But if somebody is reflecting back to them that they've heard, there's a softening that happens. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it was the two. It's 5 days now that I'm in this summer camp, and I've been setting a 1 hour workshop about saying what I want. That surprisingly many people come to, and another one about completion loops, and they really enjoyed it, and that really helped me to say in the group, like, people that have participated in this completion loop workshop are able to hold space for deep listening space. So I named them, and so that kind of relaxed a little bit this kind of fear of going into the emotional realm. And it's like, this is really challenging because this is building a team and in the same time landing distinctions. It's like whole has to sprout in the same time, or yeah, this is a bit what frightened me.
The giving people a sense that these are people who are good listeners. I think what I heard you say is that you identified these people as good listeners, which then opens a door for others to then be able to go, okay, I need to speak something, and I just need somebody to listen. Yeah, is that what I heard?
Yeah. Or I said also, is there people here that already know active listening, which is the practice where completion loops come from? So I named the two, so people who participate in this workshop and people trained into active listening. There is one person in the group that came with that skill.
And I think there's a distinction between active listening and completion loops. Yeah, one with completion loops uses the very same words that the speaker
Yeah.
gave.
Yeah. 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 So that's, yeah, that was an attempt. Anyway.
Mm. I heard a legend about a woman who came away from a training that she suddenly like realized the value of expressing her feelings, and she did it with her family. She invited her family to come in to come together, and she made it really clear, I don't want anything from you. I don't want you to fix anything. I don't want you to what I want is for you to hear me and know that these are my feelings, right? That they're simply my feelings, and you might feel all kinds of things, and they're your feelings. But this is a space that I invite you to hold the space for me, to allow me to express my feelings. And what happened was so beautiful, right? That there was such deep connection with the whole family. There were tears. There was such a beautiful deep connection that happened because she set the space up that way to make it like, this is a moment for me to express my feelings, and I simply want you to hear.
Yeah. 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 I heard a similar legend by Anne Chloe. and her mother.
Mm.
She had the same. When she discovered the tool, she just used it in the train. And her mother just said, "Wow, you are such a great listener." And what that was the feedback. Like, yeah, yeah,
I'm sensing that this moment is complete, Gabriel, and that you
yeah,
have places to be and people to be with.
yeah.
I'm glad for that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad having celebrated that with you and having made another bridge to the other side of the world.
Beautiful. Keep going. I love what you're doing.
Thank you. Me too. Bye.
Okay. Bye.